Hello. Firstly, thank you very much for buying a GivEnergy system. They are absolutely brilliant. I really rate them personally, so much so that I have it in my own home, as you may or may not already know. Find out a little bit more about tariffs. It is a bit of a minefield. The first thing I'd like to say about this video is these are just my own meandering thoughts around tariffs. There are other tariffs that are available on the market. There are other things you can do with the GivEnergy system. This isn't a binary list. And please don't take this as any form of financial advice. It's just here simply to try and help you to try and choose the right tariff that's suitable for you. So I'm a bit of a fan of Octopus Energy, and that's simply because they buy lots of their electricity, or pretty much all of their electricity, from renewable sources, which obviously I'm a big advocate of personally. So that's why I tend to pick them as an energy supplier that I would say I'd recommend these guys. That doesn't mean to say that they're the only one in the market. There is like British Gas that have great EV tariffs, there's E.ON. There are a few other green renewable tariff providers as well, that it's not just a case of it only works with Octopus. GivEnergy system will work with others. So the first thing I'd just like to basically say and do is just kind of have a cap over what the benefit of this video would be. So I'm going to have a look at if you have no EV, so no EV car currently, and you just simply want to get yourself on the best rate for your GivEnergy system. If you have an EV car, if you're looking at tracking to Octopus Agile, which is a very interesting way of looking at energy prices, and then kind of having probably just a quick conversation as well regarding heat pumps and how you get the system working quite well with a heat pump as well. So there's quite a few things. There's quite a broad spec video, so there'll be quite a few different things. If you want information on a bit more of a granular basis, you can always just book a call with me. I'm happy to kind of run through things with you with pleasure. So the first thing I would say is if you have no EV, Intelligent Octopus Flux is a brilliant tariff. So there are two versions of Octopus Flux. There's the intelligent version and then the non-intelligent version. So first of all, to discuss the intelligent version, which is probably the best selection, what it does, it links in with your GivEnergy system and talks and communicates. So what it does is it does a weather forecast for you. It basically interconnects with the Octopus server called the Kraken. So it does a weather forecast for you. So it says, right, we've got a great sunny day tomorrow. Runs an algorithm to work out how much energy you're likely going to use, and then works out the best possible time to buy it from your system. So, for example, if it was cheap electricity was cheap on the grid at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it would basically say, right, let's buy some energy at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And if it was a great price to sell it back later on in the afternoon, then it would sell it back at the better time to sell it back at, to thus kind of helping you return investment. So typically speaking, with Intelligent Octopus Plus, when you don't have an EV, you tend to save about £250 a year extra on top of, for example, if you go for Octopus Outgoing and an economy 7 rate, for example. So that's why it's good. It's very hands-off as well, which is what most people like. So you get the benefit of just adding a serial number in, copy and pasting that, and you can find that in the top left-hand corner of your app. I'll probably do that on the app videos. The top left-hand corner, you type in a little serial key, and then away you get connected. So it's quite straightforward to be able to set up and integrate once it's done. So that's Intelligent Octopus Flux. The next one is Intelligent Octopus Go. So this is great for EV car charger users. So if you've got an EV car, now bear in mind there's some limitations with this. I feel like Martin Lewis when I say that. It only charges for 6 hours at night, so you only get 6 hour night rate. This varies based upon postcode, and it's 7 pence per kilowatt hour. But you have to have a smart car or an intelligent charger. So you need either the Zappi by MyEnergy or hang on, let me have a think of this for a second. Omi Home Pro, it came to me. Or you have to have an intelligent car. So basically charger has to make a connection to the Octopus server, the Kraken that I mentioned a second ago, or your car has to make a connection to the Kraken. So what this basically means is you say your car has to be intelligent, or the charger has to be intelligent. So if you have an intelligent car, you can have any old charger. Probably recommend the GivEnergy charger because it works on the same ecosystem. But if your car's not intelligent, so I know some Volvo, some Kia models, for example, and some older electric car models essentially wouldn't be suitable for this tariff. So you'd want an intelligent car charger at this stage of the game to be able to access these rates. It's probably something I would have already picked up with you on survey, or one of my colleagues would have done, but it's just something to be openly aware of. If you've kind of already got an existing EV and we've just put a solar and an inverter on for yourself, then there is an alternative to this. It's Octopus Go, so not the intelligent version. It's 9 pence. You get 4 hours cheap at night instead. So I have been on that in the past when my wife's had a hybrid. So it's not the end of it's not the end of the world if you don't have it. You can go on the Octopus Go. One of the benefits to Octopus Go is it links with Octopus Outgoing. So I'm just going to tab across slightly, and this gets you 15 pence per kilowatt hour fixed for your export. So you can essentially fill your battery up at night full, even in the summer, for 7.5 for every kilowatt. And then essentially you can get yourself onto Octopus Outgoing. And worst case scenario, if you generate too much energy, you sell it back at 15p. So you're on a win-win all around with Intelligent Octopus Go and Outgoing. If you're on the standard Go, it goes with Outgoing Light, so you get a slightly lesser price. Now, if you're a heat pump user, this is a little bit different. You can map your system to Intelligent Octopus Cosy. To be honest with you, I think if you've got an EV and you've got a heat pump, then most of the time the EV tariff works a bit better. People tend to buy a little bit more battery storage and it works out a little bit cheaper. But essentially, as long as you've got the Generation 3 hybrid inverter or the GivEnergy all-in-one, then you're in a position whereby you can map it to these cheap prices on the grid. So essentially it dips to about 50% cheaper 3 times a day. So the idea is when it's dipping in these cheap periods, so between about 4:30 and 7:30 or something along those lines, what it will do is your heat pump will run on those cheap tariffs, your battery focuses on buying, your battery then stepping stones to the next period, so it runs on your battery from this point to this point, buys it again, and then runs on it from this point to this point. So that works a little bit better. But there is another step further from this. So this is only for the brave. Is what I would say, because there are some risks associated with doing what I'm about to say next. So there is a tariff called Octopus Agile. Now, this is agile pricing. So it's what most people don't realize is pricing is set on the national grid in half-an-hour increments. So that can be anything from kind of midnight all the way through till 11:30 the following day. And that every price is very different at different stages of the game. So for example, on Saturday, the 6th of July, for example, at 12:30, you would have been paid minus 0.2 pence to buy energy from the grid. If you'd have bought it here at 2:30 in the afternoon, you'd have got it for minus 4p. Yes, that's right, you get paid to take energy off the grid. That's because there's too much energy on the grid, and therefore they want people to effectively buy it at those cheap periods of time, and Octopus are prepared to reward you for doing so. It's typically speaking most cheap kind of throughout the course of the night. That tends to be the case. You see here 8p, 8 pence, something along those lines. Now this resets itself every 24 hours, so the 24 hours after that there was no negative pricing, but there was a load of prices here. You see under 5p, so 4.4p, 6.7p, and that's your weighted average for the course of the day. So the problem is, because this remaps every 24 hours, you as an end user would simply have to go on the settings and try and make loads of setting changes. It's not reasonable, it's not plausible. So the GivEnergy system, Gen 3 hybrid inverters, which is what we're fitting now, and the GivEnergy all-in-one all have what's called an open API, which means it is open to third-party developers. A little bit like your mobile phone, Apple, for example, if you have an iPhone, don't create all the apps that are on your phone. They have essentially like an app store, very similar, essentially where we can have third-party applications that can work and communicate with your inverter, and it works the same way. It doesn't quite have an app store, but it just to kind of figuratively speaking, it works in the same way whereby third-party applications can program it. So there's this great program called the Energy Optimiser. So this is a techie person. Now, if you're a techie, you can actually create your own code. There is a load of code that you can have online. If you've got Home Assistant, for example, you can have a code as well. But for the average person, they're going to go, look, I just want to pay a couple of pounds a month and get someone to do all this for me. So this software, basically, as you can see here, again, takes a weather forecast and looks at what the weather's like a day ahead, looks at the cheapest possible prices that are on the grid. So it would say, right, it's cheap from 12 till 2:30, looks at how much energy you use on a weighted average basis, and then buys it when it's cheap, and when it's most expensive can sell it for you. Or what you can do is map it with Octopus Agile on essentially an intelligent basis, so where it's mapping to the cheapest price on the grid, and then you can just get yourself on your fixed outgoing Octopus, so your 15 pence fixed rate. So if you happen to buy it at 2.5p, it can then work out when to sell it back, and when it does sell it back, it sells it back at 15p. So you're on a win-win, really. So if it's negative pricing, as I say, you literally get an energy credit for buying energy from the grid for the benefit of having a piece of battery storage. It's great. The downside to Agile, of course, is if you have a look here, typically speaking, during tea times, if I kind of scroll through here, you'll see it goes up to 30 odd pence. There are some minus pricing here alongside it being 30p. So in the winter time, the energy prices go up a little bit. During the night, it's still, typically speaking, very cheap. It's always, typically speaking, under, say, 10 pence a kilowatt anyway, so you can still map to it, but you must avoid those peak periods of time. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, but the idea is your battery storage is overcompensating. Another thing you need to be aware of with Octopus Agile is the fact that there are limitations around your GivEnergy battery. We do confirm these in your T's and C's, but instead of being limited to unlimited cycles, you get limited to 10 megawatt hours per kilowatt hour of battery. So if you've got a 13.5 kilowatt battery, you're limited to 13.5 megawatt hours, which typically speaking works out about 10,000 kilowatt hours per year for the full duration of your battery storage, which is a significant amount of energy. It's twice as much as I use for my family of 4. It would, typically speaking, your 12 years is still going to come first, but there is a fair usage limit because of the amount of cycles, as you can imagine, that the battery's having to run. It's having to work way more than what they did when they manufactured and type tested the units themselves. So it's just something to be open aware of in terms of the cycle limitation around the actual battery itself and the T's and C's of GivEnergy. But to be honest with you, for the average person, if you see there, negative pricing, God, on the 4th of July, it was absolutely brilliant. So it will vary day upon day. You can have a quick look at the Agile pricing now. To be honest with you, on a weighted average basis, average price of 3 pence that day, that energy. But if you're on a standard fixed tariff like Cosy, for example, you would just not have had that benefit. This is great also for heat pump users, by the way, as well, particularly with the all-in-one. It's great at being able to buy lots and lots of energy in a short period of time, and therefore essentially completely and utterly dispersing your energy costs. Again, you can access the Open API via this software, so this will pre-program it all for you. So basically 24 hours before, looks at the cheapest price on the grid, looks at how much energy you're going to use, has an estimate of, roughly speaking, what energy you're going to generate as well, and at what times you'll generate that, and basically makes those decisions on your behalf. Very clever. Now, I've been speaking with the programmer that programs the Energy Optimiser, and he's also made an API that works with EV car charging, although I haven't tested it personally, so you probably want to get in touch and find out a little bit more. There are some FAQs on that website as well, but that is a brilliant method. The downside, I mentioned to Octopus Agile, is the fact that at peak times, sometimes throughout the course of winter, it can go quite high, 50, 60, 70 pence. Now, there is also another side to high pricing, which I'm just going to discuss in a sec. So one of the things, and I'd forgotten the slide on this, but I really wanted to introduce it whilst I'm on a roll, is GivBack DFS. So one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is when that energy price goes high, which is the downside to Agile, you can get paid a premium basically for selling out to the grid, and your GivEnergy inverter will do this automatically. Now, Octopus have got their own version of it. I'm personally part of the Axel Energy. This works in addition to any energy tariffs you're on. So if you're on Octopus Go and Octopus Outgoing, this will work as well. If you're on Agile, it will work as well. So what happens basically is GivEnergy have a look and say, right, it's now peak time. We're in the middle of winter. You as an end user have got some energy in your battery, or you've got the ability of being able to buy energy cheaply before the event, 20, 30p or whatever per kilowatt. And then you've got the ability then during peak times to be able to sell it out to the grid. Now, personally, from personal experience, throughout as it starts to blend into the winter period, so your September, October time, they open this scheme so you can sign yourself up for it, early part of winter, and you get paid about 70 pence a kilowatt. Something along those lines. So if you buy it for 30, sell it for 70, make 40p a kilowatt winner. If you have 10 kilowatt batteries, 3 or 4 quid. But in the depths of winter, so your November, December, January time, they paid me as much as £2.10p. Now, it's not a big amount of money. I don't want to kind of blow it up out of proportion to anything that it's not. But one thing I would say is it paid for my takeaways throughout the course of winter. So I'd definitely get yourself signed up for GivBack with your GivEnergy inverter. The other thing you want to probably start thinking of doing now is register for the Smart Export Guarantee. Now, if you've got a 3.6 kilowatt inverter, this is going to be a fairly quick process for you because the G98s come back really quickly, and so do the MCS certificates. So you normally can start getting registered within a few days. If you're on a 5 kilowatt inverter, an all-in-one, or a bigger piece of plant equipment, then it will be the case the fact that you're just going to have to hold on for a couple of weeks. We fill the G99 applications in, and Electricity Northwest is quite slow, typically speaking, at getting those back to us. So G99 will come back. You'll have to upload their letter of authority. Different authorities do it differently. Some do a certificate, some do a letter of authority. We'll be able to give you a bit of advice on that when you hand over. But essentially, you hand in your G99, you upload that onto the system, you upload your MCS certificate, and that automatically then registers you for the standard Smart Export Guarantee. Typically speaking, from my experience, that took 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to take 2 or 3 weeks, typically speaking, for your G99, longer sometimes. Then a couple of weeks to get yourself onto Smart Export Guarantee. When they register you as standard, they get you on a 4.1 pence flat rate. Don't stick there. Make sure you get changed onto a fixed outgoing rate, or even on an Agile rate. They make an Agile rate for outgoing. The downside to the Agile rate for when you're outgoing is, typically speaking, when loads of people are generating solar, there's an abundance and it's really cheap on the grid, so they don't pay you a great deal. They only pay a great deal of an evening, so you'd have to be forced exporting out the battery. So I've found from personal experience that a standard fixed outgoing rate and then looking to buy your energy as cheap as possible tends to be the best way. But again, these are my own meandering thoughts. It's always good to give these a go. The good thing about Octopus Tariffs as well is there's typically speaking no penalty, even if you fix yourself in for a term for moving around. So you can kind of give things a bit of a go, and if it's not working for you, then change the tariff, have a go at something else and go from there. But I know a lot of people having a great deal of success with the Agile pricing tariff, which is why I wanted to include it on this video. So as I was saying, if you've got, you'll be on your standard 4.1 pence fixed rate, get yourself then onto you have to tell them again, so you have to get in touch with them first time to apply, then you get on the standard tariff, then you have to apply for your fixed outgoing rate. Once you're on that fixed Octopus outgoing, you'll just get 15 pence for every excess kilowatt. It's great for when you go on holidays because you'll be exporting out the grid in plentiful amounts. Great for periods of nice sunny times throughout the summer as well, because you can have a load of excess energy and that's essentially going to export out to the grid. So I suppose, as I mentioned at the start, if you do have any major questions regarding tariffs, I do hope that I've kind of covered them in a comprehensive way. I can always book a quick 10-minute call in with you if you needed to just ask any fine questions in terms of everything else. As I say, these aren't the only tariffs. There is like a standard fixed Octopus tariff, for example, that does just for Flux. You can go on Economy 7. You can tell that when to buy on Economy 7 rates as well. You may well have a specific rate that's around you with a specific supplier, utility warehouse. I know do a few, British Gas do a few. So it's not just the case that these are the only binary solutions. There are other ones out there. But hopefully you've enjoyed my video on tariffs. There's quite a lot to them, but hopefully you'll be able to find the right tariff for you now, get that selected and be getting those all important credits, payments throughout the course of the year and making the most of your new GivEnergy battery storage system. That's all from me. Thank you.